everyone is in attendance except Rick, who's over at the APRA meeting. So that's more than a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. Rick sent around the minutes, and I know there were a couple edits. Any other comments on the minutes that were sent around, edited, and updated? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as updated?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So the minutes are accepted. Susan, financial status?
No news. Open space donation 248.34. Rider 4,191.32. Hubbardston Preservation Trust 14,704.31. So it's status quo
Good.
at this point.
Yeah, and that is without any
Hay money.
hay money yet,
Of
so we
current.
get a boost.
I would
from
expect that what?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it August still? No, it's September tomorrow, right?
Let's see, old business updates. Destiny's Garden.
She's working on her art pieces.
Okay.
So, yeah, she's plugging away.
Okay.
Excuse
Let's
me,
see.
the access to that, I think it's the same overall parcel, that the DCR access on Williamsville Road has recently been mowed, so maybe they've mowed
They mow once a year.
the road going
Okay.
down to Destiny's.
That'd be nice because I hate walking through that long grass.
Yeah.
It's like I just feel like I'm getting covered with ticks. You know?
They do it once a year,
Yeah.
late summerish.
Okay.
I put an inquiry into them, seeing if how they'd feel about it if the town wanted to mow it more
Okay.
often. They blew me off,
Yeah, of
but
course.
but if it starts getting heavier use, then
We can mow
we'll
it.
circle around with them
Yeah.
again.
I don't know what happened.
All right, let's, since we're talking about sort of Katie Siblings topics, let's jump to Hunter's Eagle Scout Project.
He's got demos.
So,
oh, look at those.
after the council rep accepted it, I made some demos, 6 different backgrounds, if you guys want to pass them on and look at it.
There's, if you look them over, they're different background colors. And granted, the colors aren't quite right because these are like craft paints. We just got close so that way you guys could see what the background would look like against colors, so you could choose.
Did you do the lettering?
My dad did it because he knows how to use
Yeah, it came
what
out
is it?
nice.
What is it called?
We ordered the official.
National Park lettering.
Yeah,
really?
it's,
Oh,
it
font?
goes to the router, so you have a template of all the letters, so he can make it proper. So that's the
They're nice.
official.
They're a nice size, aren't they? They're,
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yes.
it's official lettering. So.
How, that might, you'd need a bigger sign then if you've got a long.
Behind the
Yeah,
chimney
that's
trail.
behind the chimney trail. It's
You
gonna
can
have to,
abbreviate.
well, it's gonna have to get cut up into 2. So you
Oh,
have, like,
perhaps.
if you were to do the behind the chimney trail, you'd have to cut it up in like half if we kept trail on it. If you want, like, do we need trail on it? Like, for like the rest, like the whole signs, like trail?
Oh,
Yeah.
just say Canesto Brook
Yeah,
instead of Canesto Brook Trail.
yeah.
Because it will dramatically drop the size of each piece of wood.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Everybody knows it's a trail.
What a
No, I'll tell you.
Not the Florida one,
I'm telling you, these days I assume nothing. But, well, should we take a vote or should we just admire them and like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Everybody can
6?
see the different colors.
Well, what
Except for Susan
did
can't.
you have in mind
Oh,
changing
it's
the
a
lettering color between trails, or is there going to be a color swatch on the sign for the trail color, or what was your thinking?
what my thinking was when we get the trail in there, is gonna paint the, like how you have it like right here with all the like the colors inside of it. So like, let's or I think is this spread behind the chimney stone. So like all the letters would be red for that trail. And
Because
then,
all the dots on the trees are red in that
Yeah.
trail.
and then you'd have like the marker on it, like on the end of it, painted on there, so that way they know what type of marker they're looking for.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'm more inclined to keep the lettering color consistent
Yeah.
across all the trails
Yeah.
and just change the color swatch.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, okay, that makes it easier for him too. I mean, it just makes it
yeah.
more consistent. And for
Yeah,
us,
I think that's a typical,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So then you still have to decide background.
It helps make it more obvious what the swatch is for.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah. Is the black too stark?
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of, so maybe
Yeah,
a brown
I
then?
think one of the browns.
yeah,
One of the browns.
Maybe
Which
this one?
or that lighter
Yeah, I
brown.
like this one.
We can do a lighter brown. We just grab
No,
some
no.
stain
Well,
and paint.
yeah.
You know, like what we had scraps
I
left
kind of
over,
like that one too.
just to
Yeah,
give you
that
some
one's a brown paint,
ideas.
and the one over there is a stain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what? Yeah.
Stain will last longer, I think.
Do you put some sort of some covering on it to keep, like a polyurethane something?
I would put water
Spray?
sealer all
Yeah.
on the top of it. After done with it, I'll put water sealer.
Well, we don't definitively, or do we want to make a decision? So he knows, so he can be thinking ahead.
Well, if we like this tint of color background, maybe we could do it with a lighter stain.
Yeah, that's 2 coats of stain on there.
on the back one.
Yeah, on the back one's
Yeah.
2 coats.
And it is a darker color. There are obviously lighter colors if
Mhm.
you'd rather a lighter color.
Yeah, can you stand that one up? I can't see it. I think, I think a lighter
I like the medium brown with green lettering.
Is that or that? Medium.
One to the
Medium.
left.
With green, you said?
That shade itself is fine? Or like,
Whatever.
yeah, that's close.
Something in that family.
Yeah.
Well, it could also be white lettering if you just want them all the same and not to match the
I would
color
like-
trail.
Could do that too.
What, white letter?
Is that what they are now? Are they all white letters?
I
They're
think they're-
yellow, some of them, aren't they?
Yeah,
I can't
I'm not
remember.
sure what they are. Yeah, it's like, it depends on where you go.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why, he wasn't sure, and that's why I told him, I said, well, do the word trail, and
Well-
then do the colors, the red, the blue, the yellow, the green, and that way they can see the contrast against the background
Yep.
on each one,
Mhm.
and then give them 6 different, either do front and back, and pick your backgrounds. I said, and it's just a rough one, so it doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but you at least, sand it a little bit, get the chunks out, so it doesn't look like crap, but.
And do we have green as one of the colors too for the,
That's actually pretty close to the.
so could,
The,
would we
lime
want the
color on Old
differentiation
Cross
then in the
and,
greens, or keep the same
White-
shade?
white's
In other
good,
words,
I'd be fine with white.
most of them would be that green, and then we'd see,
I'm trying to think, a lot of the trails, I think I've been on use white lettering.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. Yeah, I mean DCR. I mean, a lot of this is on state forest land,
Yeah,
and their standard is a medium dark brown, sort of in between this
Yes.
one and that one, with white lettering
yeah.
is what they use. What they actually use is it's a product that has a brown top surface. It's a plastic.
Yeah.
It's got a brown top surface and the core is white. And
Oh,
they-
so when
and
they
they
do
route
the
their
thing,
letters
yeah,
and-
it just automatically does it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
little tricks of the trade.
All right, so
Is that anything we need to worry about?
The door's probably stuck.
Maybe it's Rick. Ringing the bell.
so brown with white, is that what we decided on?
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
That's good.
So
And,
medium
what's that, regular 2x6 material here?
Uh,
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna do
Is Is this the stuff that you said you had some yellow cedar or something that you were gonna?
No, this isn't it.
No, I know that's not.
No,
it, but
that's
is
just junk wood.
the yellow cedar you were talking about, Tim? Is that what you're gonna provide to do it on?
Yeah, well, I gave him 16 feet. I don't know whether that's gonna be enough.
We already need more boards because the size of the letters that it's like only one size. So with all like the behind the chimney stone, it's like roughly around like 3 feet to like 4 feet if you kept the trail too.
Because that's, how big is that one right there?
What, the whole board?
Yeah, the whole
That's-
length.
Whole length is 14 inches.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, they're also gonna be up high, so you do want it kind of big, you know, you don't want little letters, because they're not gonna be able to read it.
Is this, is it all caps, or is it
Yeah, it's all caps.
at this spacing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
those are gonna be big signs.
Yeah, the letters are like sort of like puzzle cubes. You got like the T in and you put like the R next to it in a cube and it has like the automatic spacing.
Oh, yeah.
And you just tape it down so that way it doesn't move on you.
So behind the chimney TR is 20 characters, I think. Am I-
With the spaces.
Well, we can get rid of the
I think I
TR
can
and just have
understand.
behind the chimney.
So that's about 18 characters. That's longer than 3 of these.
Well, that's not gonna work really, is it?
So that's the 48 inches, right?
You cut it in like half.
Oh, wait,
And then
okay.
you put like the top piece and then the bottom piece on.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
it'd
you
be
do something like this?
Yeah.
behind the
And then
chimney.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
But you're only doing like 2 of them. It's not like you're doing 40 of them.
Is that classical font size for the sign markers?
It's
No, that's bigger than you would typically see.
Form follows function, let's see.
But the width of the wood that was dropped off is that same width. So if you did smaller letters, they'd kind of get, you know,
You kind of can't do smaller letters. It's one size.
well, the one that we got. I mean, you can get them in small. The kit that we bought, because it was the National Park one, that was the one we went with, and it also fit the size wood that was dropped off.
Yeah.
So,
Same size letters. You can't change them.
well,
So that's, you bought one router template?
But the template is all caps,
yes,
correct?
yes.
And here I said, oh, I love the size, not realizing, of course, what you have to do to fit it.
Well,
in.
here, give me one.
Because it's so easy to read.
But yeah,
That's,
because
you know,
think about it.
yeah.
Now come way out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you start to get out here, it's not that big.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're gonna also go up.
Yeah.
So, sorry for those that couldn't see that.
Yeah, so I think we're, I'll sort of paraphrase if I can. So the brown on the left with white lettering, and keep that size. You don't need the word trail. Right? Is that where we're at?
Sounds good.
Works for me.
Any other comments?
That is it, I believe of.
Well, the questions were,
Dropping trail, yes or no,
No.
and then
what are the other questions?
what?
You need more wood and you need
Yeah.
paint.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
they
What-
supplying
what paint?
more wood and paint,
So-
so are we getting that?
Didn't you guys look at my project plan at all?
Good question.
Tendons. Yeah, I did.
It's only 2 people.
Yes, I read it, Hunter.
3
Alright,
guys.
3 people. That's better than 2.
I skimmed it. Come on. Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah,
So-
Susan did.
From the proposal, you guys said you guys were buying the materials and then I supply the supplies and tools.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the official trail colors,
Yep.
which I'll give you for the swatches on
Yeah.
each sign.
Yeah.
White, I can go out and get some white if you want us to supply it.
White, and then we're doing a lighter stain. Are we doing the lighter stain?
No, that color's good, right?
The medium brown.
Max said the typical is even slightly darker than that. Isn't that what you
Right.
said?
Yeah, a little bit, but
But that color is fine.
Yeah, but do you want it to be a stain or a paint? That was the question. The
Stain
color
or
doesn't,
paint.
can be either.
Don't think it matters. I mean, you can get stains that are solid stains, basically, too. So I mean,
Right.
What's
Well,
that?
just
Is that a
think of-
stain?
Which is
Uh,
the weather.
That's a paint, and then the one back
darker
there
is
is a
the
stain.
2 coats, right?
Yeah, it's 2 coats.
What's the dark one? Anybody got a preference here?
I'd go with the stain. Or
Is-
with a stain.
The stain,
Stain is similar to
because
that
of the
color.
longevity,
Yeah,
does
stain-
it last longer?
Paint will peel.
Okay, so.
I really
That
Did you
makes
see
sense.
this
Don't look at me.
curtain wedding?
But you wanted us to pick out the stain and give it to you?
Tell
Yeah.
Alice that.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, we did agree to pay for the paint.
So you want us to go out and purchase it or give you the money to purchase it?
It doesn't matter. Whichever.
How
How you
will
want.
they purchase it so that way they get the exact
Yeah.
thing that's correct, and
Yeah.
that way we don't screw anything up.
Yeah. I mean, if
And
you
then
like
we're
it,
like-
you can put it yourselves.
Yeah.
Let us screw it up for you.
Exactly.
Well, and we can probably.
Okay, so what's the
that quickly.
timeline on that then, Hunter?
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
That too.
Yeah, and, you'd like to get started because it's more, do a couple a day or something.
Yeah.
Are you supplying some colors already?
Yeah, for the trail marker color.
Yeah.
I've already got those. I bought them under the
Oh, you already
signage.
got 'em. I was gonna say, you wanna, while you're at it, you wanna pick out some stain,
Yeah, I can do that.
or anybody else wanna do that?
Yeah, I'll pick up the stain.
All right.
All right.
Just keep the receipt.
And-
Also,
Stain, so a quart of stain and a quart of white oil-based.
Does that have to be isn't there a special paint that you use for that or something?
For what?
You said there's a trail,
For either
trail
one.
paint or something? Or is that for trees?
Yeah, it's for trees.
Got it.
Which is
It's
what
not
I,
trees,
which is
so-
what I have for the trail colors.
Right, got it.
And I will get you a small sample of each
Right.
of the colors.
Good oil base.
and I'm also
How many signs will a quart?
Well,
be
actually,
enough?
I'll get you more than that.
Yeah, that seemed like-
Because
Yeah,
we've
that's
stain.
got the trail marking too.
Yeah, we can always give
Is
it
quart
one
enough?
back.
For a stain? I would guess.
well,
How many signs we talking about?
you got 8 signs, which is
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
much
that's
you
plenty.
got 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those,
Yeah, that's
and 2 of
plenty.
those.
That should be about right. You should be able to do 100 square feet with a quart.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So, quart.
So you're okay with that?
I'll pick it up, right, and where do I bring it?
To my house.
And,
Yeah, so the,
I've been feeling some paintings. Down
so the
400.
brown and then some
No,
white
you're right.
to go in.
right,
And then, you're gonna drop off some colors and you have a little bit more wood?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Alright, all to my house.
and where's your house?
Ragged Hill. 86.
86 Ryder Hill.
I'm glad that's on video now.
Yeah.
Before you post that, you just kinda like,
Ryder
You
Hill.
could do
not that everybody doesn't know where I live, but it just, come on.
Yeah,
It's just-
really.
That's like, why don't I just put my phone number on there too? It'd be great.
Hold up your social security.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, driver's license. It'll be great. Mother's maiden name. Let's just put it on.
Relative to picking out the stain, you want to take one of those that we think is a better color and take it to the, I mean, I've used
Yeah.
stains too, and lots of times different, the wood that you put it on,
Yeah.
there's a
Makes a big
significant
difference,
effect
yeah.
Right,
on how it looks, so.
I'm gonna take this with me then.
Yeah.
Well, because that wood is very different.
I think-
That's junk wood.
That's
This one?
stain.
This is scrap wood. This is not the wood.
It's
This
just
is-
regular 2x6 spruce?
Yeah, that's just like leftover scrap wood from our build from the garage. So
That one looks like a walnut stain.
Well,
Th-
that's
this one-
That's number
That's paint.
255.
This is paint, but it's probably
which is more like redwood. It's just double coated. That more
It's
red.
redwood?
It's more red, like
Believe it or
red.
not, sometimes on the junk wood, you'd be surprised how it
Yeah,
picks
I've
up.
run into all kinds of things
Yeah.
like that
When you're putting it on
relative to
junk
what it
wood,
comes out looking like
yep.
and what it's called, two different things. Right. But that's why it's better to take one of those. Yeah. Maybe they'd even open the can and do a, sometimes some of the stores will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you won't have a
Putting it
piece of
on
wood you're gonna put it
cedar
on.
though, right?
I got a few scraps as a
Yeah.
cedar. Maybe I can drop
What wood is this going on? Is this going on,
It's going on yellow cedar.
oh, so it is going on your yellow cedar that you got there? Oh, so can you give Dave a piece of
Yeah.
that so you
Yeah.
can try it out, make sure it's dark enough? If anything, it's better if it's a little darker than too light, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
All right?
All right. Nice job on these, Hunter. That's
Yes,
Also,
great.
Yeah.
I need a 8-foot post with a clamp that's 3 feet long.
No, we have one of the post things.
We got
Yeah, I have a
clamps.
post thing. What do you mean clamp? It has a
Like-
screw in it. The post. The post thing that goes in the ground. I have one.
You got one?
Yeah, I got one.
Well, you never told me that.
I did tell you that.
No, you didn't.
No,
I'm
you
pretty
don't.
sure I have the post too. That's why I said we need the wood and the stain. I have a post. And the thing to hammer in the ground.
Yeah, it's called a sledge.
Do we know the exact location relative to how they're oriented on the trails, where they're gonna, just relative to visibility and, I know just like, we just went through that exercise yesterday, the, relative to where we putting up the signs that Mark did, so, and so, sometimes there's a little variability relative to, just in doing it, per some of the reasons you're doing it, yesterday when we were doing that, I happened to notice some trail signs that I never saw before. Relative to up in the tree, they're over here, they're over there.
Yeah.
Randomness.
So placement should be as consistent as possible.
It's going to be at the trail intersections. Like, the only one that we needed the post was right over by Old Cross and Canesto Brook Trail, like right there for the
'Cause there's no
Old
trees.
Cross, because there's like, the tree is like in the middle of the pond. I'm not going to walk out there.
Walk on water is a miracle.
Well, I don't know, the pond's pretty low right now.
So
I mean, if you want, I can, when you're planning on doing some of these, I'll go with you. And
That's not a bad idea. I know we had group consensus yesterday. Said, what do you think? Over here, over there? And so
Yeah.
we did have a few votes on where we were
I'll
locating
come
the
up with
signs
dates
yesterday.
and meet with my troop meeting, which PLC's next week, so troop meetings in 2 weeks.
okay.
but yeah, you can put it out there to you guys and whoever wants.
What's your target date relative to when you think you're going to do them?
Before the ground freezes.
How about
What?
by
Before the ground freezes.
That's a
How
good
about
idea.
the end of this month?
That may be
Beginning
next
of
year.
March.
Yeah, we'll do the post first, right?
Yeah, because the post needs to get in there before, because that's the only thing in the ground. Everything else is on
Oh,
tree.
sure.
Great.
All right.
All right, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
So do you take these home with you and you're gonna hang on
I'm
to that
taking this
one?
one.
We're back to hunting.
If you guys don't want to keep these awesome samples,
They are nice, I like them.
Yeah,
Ah, maybe I'll use some of that.
No?
if you like them, you can have them. They're all yours.
the combination of
Did
the
I? No, I don't think so.
marks up in
I,
this.
actually, what I was gonna do was say, I didn't realize at the time that we were gonna get, I have to be at the ARPA thing, so
Hmm.
I meant to send you guys a note saying, could you guys, talk to Hunter about some of the things because he's gonna be at the meeting,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
One of the other suggestions I had when I read your draft plan was instead of using nails to use structural screws.
That don't rust or somebody's.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stainless
Oh, yeah.
steel
Right.
with the yellow cedar, or any wood. You risk if you put something that's not stainless here, it'll start to corrode and it'll
Drip down.
leach down and stain the
You're talking
sign.
like deck
Yeah, and it
screws?
definitely wants to be
Like
a
big
screw
long
in
deck
case
screws?
it needs.
Well, yeah, the structural screws are a 1/4 inch or 5/16 diameter. The best ones, I would recommend 4 inches long.
Yep.
Yeah, we have tons of different things.
But that's something to keep
I,
in mind.
where'd we end up finding them? Was it?
GRK and then, was it Home Depot? Or-
So I think Home Depot
and,
has them.
uh,
I can send you the link.
We might have.
Is that something we wanna, was the Open
Check
Space
first.
Committee gonna buy those anyway?
I
Yeah,
thought
I
so.
think
We
so.
were
Yeah,
gonna
so-
do
So
the
I'll
materials,
pick
but
those
just
up.
like I said,
Okay.
keep the slip.
Cause I know what we're talking, was that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
There were a couple other thoughts I had on your plan. One was, I'm sorry, I didn't send them to you first. You had a map of the trails. Does that show where each of the signs is going?
Yeah, the intersections where, like the trail signs, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So I would add that, showing the locations of the signs, add that map to the document that is your plan.
Yeah.
So it's part of the plan. And then one other suggestion I had is to add another step in your process to take some before, during, and after photos. The during photos, especially with the people that are helping you.
Yeah, that's on attaching documents. It says taken before and after photos of the trail.
Yeah, but it's not in the process. In the section of the plan for process, it doesn't mention you taking any pictures. So I would add that to the plan.
Yeah.
I don't know if there were any others. Well, the other question was putting the signs 8 feet up on the trees. Do we want to try to standardize the height? Is 8 feet what we want?
That's a good point, Tim. People are thinking.
We're looking at this,
That's
that's
about
not,
where that exit sign is.
yeah, I was gonna say that's about 10 feet, so.
Oh, no, that's not.
No, the ceiling.
Gotta take
ceiling.
measure,
Yeah.
start measuring.
There you go.
How high up's
The
that
ceiling's
sign?
10 feet.
Oh, the ceiling's 10 feet,
Yeah.
yeah.
See where 8 feet is.
Look
Oh,
at
Hunter.
this. All right, Hunter.
8 feet is to the
He
top.
came prepared.
It's to the top of
He
the sign.
did.
Yeah, he doesn't. Okay. Hold on.
Let me.
Come on, Bob.
You want me
It's
to
right
help
there.
you?
I'm not that tall, man. Here, I'm not that tall. You hold, I'm hold the bottom.
No, let go.
Yeah. Go like that.
I'm glad this is.
You need to be filming this.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Can't see. You're messing it up too.
Here, hold it right there. Ready? Hold it. Okay.
There you go.
Go like that.
That's how
Okay.
you do it, Jake.
Yeah, I know. We're at 8 feet.
That's 8.
Top of the sign, that's what I said.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It
So-
seems really tall, and I'm thinking on a horse.
Well,
You know, because we're
figured, yeah, me and him are not
Yeah.
quite 6, so
I'm
a
almost
little bit, yeah,
6.
we're a little bit.
is that typical? Isn't it in the book that you?
The old edition that I have doesn't mention the height, but and it is higher than a lot of the trail signs I've seen. But the 8-foot height makes it less likely to be
Mess with,
mess
for one
with.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Well,
so that's another plus for that.
Less
Just
likely to be.
mess
mess,
with.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
They have
It's
to
like-
work at it and then
Yeah, it's like I can touch it, but like I'm,
yeah, you couldn't pull it down.
How about between 7 and 8 feet as necessary based on what your attachment?
Exactly. It works.
I can
That
tell you
sounds
that the DCR signs that we put up, that I put up, some of them got legs, you know?
Yeah.
And I had, and I had the good screws in there too.
Gee, they really want
Don't
it.
know where they went, but they're missing in a couple of places now.
Mm.
Would you say you know where they went?
No, I said,
Oh, that would be good.
how high we're.
All right.
they weren't 8 feet because I didn't take a ladder with me. no.
Okay.
They were probably 6 feet.
Okay.
I should check
However much I
a
can
couple of
manage.
the ones I put up, I did put up, so I think I had the track, but whatever, I'll have to check to see if those are good. Anything else? Good job on the.
Yes.
This
Yes.
looks good. Mark's project, you wanna make any comments on that, Mark?
Which one?
The sign project, yesterday's project.
Yeah, well, it was a great day. We got in four trailhead kiosk type signs and 5 trail junction signs. I just mounted all the trail junction signs this morning
Oh, good
to the
day.
posts that we put in.
That stuff came in?
No, he had to go out and get it.
So it was kind of an unexpected day. I was thinking it was going to be a kind of a tra-la-la day, watching Bob punch in holes with the tractor, and then we drop the sign in and move on to the next one.
Yeah, me
home
too.
by 1:30. Not so much.
Not so much. Everybody had a good workout.
But yeah, it went well. We've got 8 trail junction sign locations remaining. I'm going to pay a visit to Tim Culkeen tomorrow and try and shame him into getting out there for a day to put in 5. And I'm thinking that we put the other 3 in, 2 on behind the chimney, and 1 out at the end of Red Oak, which brings up another topic of discussion. But
Yeah,
let me
we'll
think.
bring it up.
Let me
That's on the
think
agenda.
whether we're done on signs. Anybody want to add something on
Aren't there a
signs?
couple on Canistro Brook?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm going to try and get DCR to do them.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if we can.
They,
For anybody
you were saying
hasn't
an ooh
seen
la la or a
It was
fun
good,
day,
yeah.
but ooh la la
You
on
can
the
just flip
signs.
through and-
They look. I only seen
Check
the
out
Malone
the-
one in the flesh, but he had some pictures, and it creates a different feeling when you drive in there. It looks official, but in a friendly way. Do you know what I mean?
Now, that's
It's-
that
they're
was
nice.
Tim's comment.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, what'd you say? You said snazzy. I haven't heard that word in like 10 years. I loved it.
No, but he had a story about it, right? About when you put the signs in and you email that.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I didn't email everybody, did I? There's in natural resource and facilities management. There's a concept called the broken factory window.
Okay. Yeah.
Concept.
Yeah.
And all right, so if you leave one window pane broken, somebody's going to come along and start throwing rocks at the other windows, and pretty soon they're all broken.
Yep.
But if you fix it, they're not likely to mess with it. So, by the same token, having these really nice signs, well placed at the trailheads, it really conveys a sense that somebody cares about
this.
Yeah.
this property and these trails, and I think it's going to instill more of a sense of respect for the property on the part of the users.
Sounds good to me. All right. The let's see, land priority stuff, and it was delinquent again, but I did get started on that, and we'll get the description stuff, which is pretty important, out to Tim and Rick this week. Open space subcommittee. Any thoughts on getting started with that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Tim and Rick, any good days next week to meet for an hour?
Oh, yeah, for an hour. Sure.
Not Tuesday or Monday. Well, Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, I can't even meet Monday. I guess I don't really care.
Yeah, Wednesday.
That's the 7th.
Can we do it in the morning? Because got my granddaughter's birthday in the afternoon, so.
Do you have to make a cake?
No, I've done that though.
Wednesday at 9?
Sure.
Where are we meeting?
We can
Do you
volunteer.
have transportation?
Oh,
I can walk. What?
I mean, we can either
You want to meet at my house?
We can meet at my house, or we can meet at your house if you don't want. If you don't want to travel.
Why don't we meet at my house? 9 o'clock?
Yep, that's in the middle between Rick and Mark, so that's
Right. Is that all right with you?
Oh, sure. We meet at my house too, for that matter.
It's a long walk.
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a look at the table of contents on the plan and sort of carve things up and put a rough
Good.
plan of attack together.
Good. Any update on the opera stuff, Rick?
Sure.
Wow.
it's hot off the press.
Hot off the
huh?
press is right.
This is the latest greatest. It's so as of the meeting tonight, where they had a full ARPA committee, they were 97 grand over the amount of money they had.
Uh-huh.
However, and I was there just to answer questions that if any of you watched
Yeah.
the video came up, one of which was, is there other grant money available? To somebody's comment that, you know, we don't need another horse trail or something to that effect, and then where is the trail? A trail I don't even know where it is, which was kind of amazing that they weren't aware of where Malone Conservation Area was. So I was just there to answer questions, but as the conversation went, they started down the list of projects that have, at their last meeting, they took projects that had 3 or more favorable votes for it. And if they had 3 or more favorable votes, they moved to this next step in their discussion process. So they just started down the line, and the chair is Heather Monroe, asked for comments on anybody had any particular comments on any of the projects that were left on the list. And we eventually got down to our application, and there was quite a bit of discussion on it actually, and some very favorable conversation about it. And the big subject was, can't this be funded some other way? And the answer to that I gave to this question is that the Massachusetts,
Trails.
MOD, Massachusetts Office on Disability, does have grants available for ADA type of projects as well as planning, and they actually have 2 separate categories there that they will provide grants for, but they are all devoted to facilities projects. ADA.
ADA, not ABA.
No,
so,
ADA.
Yeah.
But ADA says follow the ABA specs. But anyway, their grants are all specifically for facilities. And since there was a couple members of the planning board and somebody from the finance committee and somebody from the 2 people from the select board, I told them that we wouldn't even be eligible to apply because Hubbardston did not meet the requirements that they have for submitting applications and funding projects. I didn't get into detail, but basically you have to have somebody in the town staff that is responsible for ADA stuff, and you have to have, it has to be in your master plan or your town plans, et cetera, et cetera. So, and in fact, if you recall, in the open space plan, they asked for information on what kind of plans we have for ADA kinds of things, and not specifically to open space, but to the town in general. That was some of the questions they had in that were required for the open space plan we did before. So Sam DeBerry was there from the rec department, and they have an application in for resurfacing the track at the this rec field.
Curtis Field.
And
At the what?
at the rec field, at Curtis Field.
The track,
the walking track.
around.
Oh,
There's an oval track, there's an application for that to be.
just an asphalt track.
Yep,
I don't know what,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I don't know what they were.
Well, when you said track, I'm thinking of an athletic track with a pretty expensive rubberized surface.
Well, and I'm not sure what the they have the project that they outlined in their application was actually $70,000, but they were only requesting $50,000 for the ARPA application. Not clear where the other $20,000 was coming from, but so that's one of the projects that's out there that it's pretty sizable between ours and theirs. That's $110,000. So a lot of discussion among the ARPA folks was about, well, are there other ways we can fund this? So there was a lot of questions on how much money was available through CPC, which I happen to have the numbers right in my head because none of them did.
Well, there's a reason for that. Yeah.
So, I gave them the numbers for open space and recreation and the unreserved funds. I didn't know what the other two were, and it was irrelevant anyway.
What is the open space reserve right now?
23.8 or something like that, but we still. I tried to track down Kelly, who has her hours are more limited now, Mondays and Wednesdays for 12 to 6:30 or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to vouch for these until I see the CP2 form, which means exactly what we really have. But that one I'm pretty sure.
And I addressed it as that these are round numbers, just off the top of my head. So they quickly figured out that if we went through CPC to fund the whole project, that would wipe out both the open space and recreation bucket as well as the unreserved bucket.
Which you couldn't do because debt comes first. We're still paying off $30,000 plus a year, and one more $20,000 plus on the library. So that's $50,000 right there, like more like 52 something.
So
That's life. Yeah.
So they got that. It was interesting that a couple members of the ARPA committee who didn't really understand what CPA funds were and how they worked. So there was an explanation of that took place that Santa gave. So walking away from that meeting, Christopher Monroe made a statement on our project relative to the town's master plan, which I tried to look up a current draft of, and there isn't one on the town website because they're still working on it, I presume. But he made a pitch for including our project in the funding, and then they were trying to figure out how can we fund both the track and this, and we're still $97,000 in the hole to start with. And what happened was one of the ARPA members said, if you bring it to the town, they're more likely, if you bring the track project to the town through either CPC or any other way, they're more likely to say, oh yeah, for the rec field, yeah, that's a good thing. Whereas this project would be less likely, so maybe ARPA funds should be used for this and let the track project go to CPC, and which could be voted on by the town. Sandra also brought up that she was told by Ryan some time ago that Ann Goby had put in a funding for $50,000 for either the rec field track. The way she heard it from Ryan was the rec field track and a new roof for the DPW building.
And through Ann Goby as what? Some kind of a state
Yeah.
earmark program?
Yep.
Or?
Yep. She didn't get into details, but they wanted to confirm that. So Heather Monroe got on a text conversation with Ryan, and he confirmed that it was either or, but 50,000 might be available for those, but because the legislature decided to take a 5-month hiatus, nothing ever happened with it yet, but it's possible that that fund came through. So that gave added reason for them to say, well, we could get that funding possibly, or if not, maybe CPC, and people were more likely to vote. So that's kind of the way, when I walked out of there, they've moved on to other projects, but I thought that was encouraging. I would say there are definitely 3 people on the ARPA committee that are for it. One of their members brought up the North County Land Trust Underwood Trail and said, well, that's got an all-access trail, and I started to say something, and then he said, it's pretty rough, but
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you clarified
I said,
that.
it's very rough. I said, I actually helped make it. And he said, yeah, I said, what we're talking about here is something that people can take. Strollers, walkers, people with wheelchairs, etc. And the Underwood Trail really, there's parts of it that you really can't negotiate with those things.
No.
So I said I think they may have plans in the future for something there, but right now. And then the other question that was asked was, are there any other types of trails that what you guys are suggesting for this application in the area? And I said, really, there's an accessible trail in Gardner, which is pretty much in an urban area. So it's not really this is in the outdoors and in a conservation area. And the only other one that I was aware of, which was also semi-urban, was in Fitchburg. And the closest other one that we know of was the one that Susan visited down in southern Massachusetts.
Norfolk.
At Norfolk, Massachusetts, at the Audubon Society. But that led to Chris suggesting that, this would be something to support the town's, economic plan and bring people into town for eco reasons. So it was really a pretty interesting conversation and a tough job they have. I mean, when I listened to the list of projects applications they were considering, they're all valid, applications. So that's where they left off. They're going to be going through and trying to figure out where to get the 97,000 or whittle it down somehow. So we'll see.
Do they have a rough timetable on when they're going to make their decisions and awards?
They're planning on submitting something to the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, at their next meeting. So I don't know when that is, 15th or something like that.
Yeah, so something in less than a month.
Oh yeah.
Just a side note, originally the track, or 50,000 of the track, was in the capital improvement list. It was originally like fiscal year 2024. So I'd seen that at some point in there.
This is that 6-foot wide asphalt track, right, or 8 foot wide?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's
It
even
costs
6 feet.
$50,000 just to put on a surface on that?
Well,
Well, now
it
it's
needs
70.
to be dug up and new subbase put in because there's tree roots that have pushed up the asphalt like this.
It does need work.
It's
doesn't it?
redoing it, not
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
fixing
the part of it that's on the east edge near the woods is like that. Some of it, I think, is still fine.
And people
Yeah, a lot of
regularly
it
use
that I've
that.
seen.
Yeah.
A lot of seniors use it for either walking with their friends or with their
Would it be less
grandkids.
expensive to put the same type of surface we're looking to put down?
It might be. I would love to find out, and that might hold up better with the tree roots too. Might be easier to repair.
Maybe it could be the
In
same.
some ways, it's actually shorter.
Get it
Most of
cheaper
your
if
most
you're
of your
doing
most
two
of your
projects
cost
at
is in
once.
the base prep work anyway, which sounds like they desperately need. So
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Your top surface isn't going to affect it all that much. It doesn't sound like a outrageously expensive project they're proposing.
Right.
All
Oh,
right, great report, Rick. Anything else on that? All right, new business. Mark's got a couple topics, at least before we get to any other new business. So you want to take the floor, Mark?
Yeah, since, well, we'll stay on trails for the moment. So, people probably aren't tremendously aware of it, but the back part of the Red Oak Trail and half of the Canesto Hill Trail are on private property, always have been. The trails originally went in with permission from the landowner at that time to Jassy. The guy has since died, and for years now it's been in his family trust, which was based in Stowe. And I've sort of always had it on my radar to try and approach this family trust and see if we could get some kind of cut some kind of a permanent deal for that trail access there. But I've never gotten around to it. And then I just found out the other day that the property was sold to a developer at the end of June. So I started scrambling and talking to DCR and seeing if they would be willing to spring some money if we could get the developer to play. And got some preliminary interest from DCR. But then found out more about what's going on the ground. And then this developer had all his ducks in a row when the deal closed. The deal closed at the end of June. He had his A&R development approved on July 14th. Nine house lots have been cleared along French Road. This is the front of the lots are on French Road. 4 of the lots extend back all the way to the state forest land, which is downhill from Canesto Hill Trail. So those 4 lots are between 7 and 10.5 acres, something like that. So they've already got glossy brochures out on the side of the road. And
The wells are in.
yeah, I don't know if all the wells are in or just some of them, but
Some of them,
definitely
yeah.
some of them are.
Yeah, I saw the bill.
so is it in Hubbardston, but it's
it's in-
technically
it's in
in
Templeton.
Templeton,
The,
right?
the frontage is in
It's
town.
both actually
Because-
and technically in Templeton.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I cried when I saw it. Yeah.
So, I sent off this nice little email to the developer saying,
Yeah.
here's a concept for you. Wouldn't you like to think about selling the back part of these lots separately? He's probably not going to get a huge premium on these oversized lots,
Right.
the 7 to 10 acre lots. They all have the same frontage on front road, 150 feet of frontage. And that's where the houses are going to be. So regardless of the size of your house lot, you're going to be 75 feet from your neighbor. So I don't think he's going to get a huge premium on the extra acreage. And I asked him whether he would be interested in at least pursuing revising the approved subdivision plan and selling off the chunk out back to the DCR or land trust or whoever we could spring the funds from. And I didn't get any response back, and I can't say that I was surprised. I don't think he's going to want to mess
The
with
ship
this.
sailed.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We missed our window on this.
But
It doesn't mean we can't approach it in the future. It just means we have to deal with 4 landowners, not 1 landowner.
Yeah.
The back half of these lots, these people are never going to see, and
Right.
they're never going to use it for anything. They might be open to.
What's the grand total acreage?
What I was proposing to them was 22 acres, the back half of each of these 4 lots,
Okay.
which would leave 3 to 4 acre lots up front. for the house lot. So we can still approach the new landowners whenever these lots sell.
Yeah, but the challenge there, to make it worthwhile, you're gonna need all four to agree, right?
Probably.
I mean, if there's a hole in the middle.
Right. Right. But like I said, I mean, they're really not gonna have any use for this. They probably wouldn't care a whole lot whether they own it or whether it's protected land. Presumably that's why they're gonna be interested in buying an area like this, is having the woods out back.
How close is it to the very back? How much footage-wise, length, not acreage, from the back property line to the trail is it approximately?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like 100 feet, 200 feet, a good...
I'm thinking 400-ish.
Oh, so it's well onto their property.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's not like it's in the last 80 feet or something. Oh,
No, it's a good chunk.
Okay.
It's well onto their property, but still far enough away that.
But a long way from the house.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's probably, I don't know, it's probably 800 feet back from the house or something.
So the usage wouldn't affect their.
So maybe something like a right-of-way or an easement.
Yeah, I mean, the options would be straight sale, conservation restriction, trail easement.
Mm.
Any one of the three could be potential. But anyway, this all came up because I suddenly realized that, I was planning on putting a junction sign at that corner of Red Oak and Canesto Hill, and I was thinking, geez, I should really get the permission from that land trust, and then started looking around and go, oops. But at this point, I'm thinking of just planting the sign. When people look at the lot, it'll be clear that, oh yeah, there's an existing trail there.
They may like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's a good thing. If it's not a good thing, they'll ask us to take it away, and we'll take it away.
There you go. All right, so this is a more to come story.
Yeah,
How much of the trail does it affect?
Big chunk.
quite a bit.
Yeah, how far down Red Oak does it get? You know, the old rusty cabin?
You know where it suddenly turns into Mountain Laurel,
Yeah.
and then you pass the rusty car.
Yeah.
When it turns into Mountain Laurel, that's the boundary line.
Okay, so that's not too far to the end. But
Yeah,
It'd be a dead end.
it's further on Canesto
Right.
Hill than it is on Red Oak.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so it affects Canesto Hill more
Yeah.
than Red Oak?
Yeah, it's
because
about
otherwise
half
you
of Canesto Hill.
Okay.
That up and down part there, yeah. Have you, I know the answer to this is probably yes, because that's the way.
Yeah.
But have you been thinking about,
A reroute?
reroutes?
No, that's why the trail originally went there. There was no alternative route through the existing state forest because of wetlands.
Oh, except for that little skinny trail that's already next to the Red Oak grassy trail. It's like you're walking on a ridge.
Yeah.
There's a trail there.
Oh, that's on the far side.
Yeah, but that's on state forest land.
Yeah, but that's on the wrong
And
side.
that's not
As you
the
go
side.
down the trail, we're talking about taking an abrupt
Oh, go the
left-hand
other
turn
way?
somewhere.
Up at the corner where the plastic pumpkins up in the tree,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's private land.
And also on that section where the trail goes through private land, there's a lot of bicycle.
There's also single tracks further up the hill
yeah.
from Canesto
Yeah.
Hill, which would actually be encompassed in the chunk of land that I was proposing. For what it's worth.
Progress, huh?
So anyway, we shall see. I'll keep an eye on and see when the lots sell, and we can talk about it. And I'll talk to Sean Provencher in the meantime and see whether DCR would be. Sean's been on vacation during this period, But I got some preliminary interest from the head of that department, land protection department, before I realized that, this is all this is all on rails at this point. But anyway, I'll check with Sean and see if DCR might be interested in the future if they had to deal with four separate landowners.
What would be in it for the landowners? What makes it something they would want to do?
Well, it depends on what form the deal takes, but presumably there would be some amount of money, either to buy the land, to buy a restriction, to buy a trail easement. Wouldn't be a huge amount of money.
No, but
And it would also cut their assessed value a little bit.
so some advantages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, but they're moving fast there. It's like, whew.
Yeah. No, he was ready.
All right.
Okay, so other topic. I wanted to talk about herbicide application. We've kind of touched on it here and there. I've done, I was doing some trials it was last year that we cut that speckled alder, right?
Yep.
Or was it the year before? Anyway, whenever it was.
Treated it the fall before and cut it last year, right?
No.
Oh, you cut it first.
No, we
Yeah,
cut the alder first, and then I
last
treated
year.
it. So anyway, I was playing around at Malone with two different application methods. One is a cut stem method, where you cut down the small woody brush, and then you just dab on herbicide to the stump that's left. That was very effective at Malone. We did not have any resprouting of that speckled alder in the central section that I cut. We did have some resprouting around the edges where you guys had already mowed with the brush hog before I could get to it. So anyway, that was very effective. The other thing I did out there last fall was what's called a Basal spray application, which is you take an herbicide spray and just spray it directly on the base of the trunk, the woody part of the plant, and it gets absorbed into the plant and goes down to the root system and kills it. So basically, I wanted to find out, whether these were effective on what we've got. What we've got is mostly bittersweet, multiflora rose. That's basically it, and also the alder that we wanted to get rid of in the Malone field. But our main enemies are bittersweet and multiflora rose. So, based on that initial result, I'd like to get into a wider application program, both at Malone and on the lot on the east side of Mount Jeff Road that the town owns but is not covered under the watershed preservation restriction. So I think we need to have a more direct conversation of, is this something that we want to get involved with on conservation land? Are we comfortable? The particular chemical that I've been using is called triclopyr. It's a pretty low toxicity chemical. It doesn't affect birds. It doesn't affect bees. It is somewhat water soluble. You would have to be careful or not using it next to a wetland or open water type area, but neither of the areas that we're talking about here have that concern.
I use it on my property for controlling poison ivy. Have for years.
Yeah.
How do you apply it?
Well, I have been applying it just to the leaves, the foliage spray, because I'm spraying, little poison ivy plants like this, but I found one big mother poison ivy vine, and I'm going to use the cut stem treatment on that.
It is, it does break down. The part that gets absorbed into plants is broken down in a matter of days.
It's deactivated in the soil.
Yeah, if it gets into the soil, then it does degrade in sort of in a matter of weeks.
So it's got a
Where
very,
else?
very short shelf life then.
Yeah. It's also the way I'm applying it is cut in diesel fuel as a 25% solution in diesel. Diesel, a certain percentage of it just volatilizes straight into the air. The remaining fractions are biodegradable as long as you don't have huge concentrations in one spot. So, what I want to do at Malone is continue treating the areas with bittersweet. It's pretty heavy in some areas, and it's much on the up at Mount Jeff. It's much more advanced. Those are big. Some of those are big plants that we would. That'll be a. Once it won't be a one and done.
Yeah.
Even Malone is going to be a 2 or 3 year project, and Mount Jeff will be worse than that.
Once it dies, there's another phase of carting it all away carefully, or does it drop berries? Or?
What I like to do. Well, there's pluses and minuses to different times of year application. I've done it in the fall. I like to do it in the fall because if you do it in the midst of the growing season and the plant dies, those dead leaves just hang around for a long period of time, advertising what's going on here. You put it in the fall when the leaves are just ready to fall anyway. It just doesn't sprout in the spring. It's much less visually.
And so it just stays there then. It just
Yeah, you could, depending on what exactly you're talking about. Like I said, some areas that are conducive to cut stem, which is what we did with the alder last year. We cut down the alder and then Rob picked it up with the tractor and piled it up as a bunny haven, which they really appreciate. Every time Ruby comes by there, she usually flushes a rabbit into the center of that pile.
Didn't you do some bittersweet too around the?
That's what I did in the fall. Yeah. Well, the alder was the cut stem. The basil was the bittersweet, which I did in the fall.
And that was effective as well.
Yeah. You can do it. You can also do it in the spring. If you got out early in the spring, you could treat it before it really leaves out very much. But it's a little harder to identify at that point as well.
Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't want to do it in the midst of the growing season. Not that it would still be effective. It's just more unsightly.
So you're pushing this up the priority list.
Well, I guess where I'm at is, I sprung for the first gallon of this stuff on my own just to check it out and see how it would go. If we're going to do it on a more broad basis, then I want committee approval to purchase it.
Yeah.
It's $75 a gallon. We probably need four gallons to start.
So we have to go through Hubbardston Trust, which
Yes.
we have never had any problems asking for anything
No.
there. Oh well, actually, some of it's.
But before we even get to the financial piece,
Yeah.
I just wanted to lay it out there
Mhm.
and see what people's comfort level was to applying chemicals to conservation.
Tim, you're into, you say you use this too, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So you're comfortable with it?
yep,
What's
very,
this-
very much so.
Do we need any
What's the
approvals
state?
or anything?
Yeah, what does
Well,
the state think of
we need, the part of the picture that I'm not talking about yet is clearly we would like to do this kind of treatment on Gates Hill as well.
Mm-hmm.
There we've got a permissions issue. The current watershed preservation restriction says no herbicides. Or what it actually says is, I'm probably not going to get the language precisely right, but what it comes down to is no herbicides, but there's a hay management plan, and anything that's in the hay management plan could be okay. So what's on my long-term list is getting the hay management plan revised to include invasive treatment.
Mm-hmm.
But that's longer term.
Ed Malone, how about North County Land Trust?
There's nothing in the CR.
But we probably want to notify them as a courtesy.
Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, I wouldn't anticipate it.
Invasives treatment or invasives control is explicitly allowed. It doesn't specifically say how.
well, how common
maybe
is
for
this
good
used?
reason.
And it's definitely not prohibited.
How common is this used on conservation properties?
I couldn't give you a number. I mean, it's a very, very common.
Yeah.
I mean, Roundup is common.
Yeah.
Triclopyr is common.
Is Roundup triclopyr the same?
No, they're not the same thing, but they do the same sort of.
Triclopyr does not kill any grasses,
Yeah.
or Roundup will. I've seen the Nature Conservancy recommending triclopyr for control of invasives, cut stem treatment.
Well, just control invasive was sure it is appropriate. It was a comment, was one of the main topics at the Keystone thing that I went to, and just and they had a invasive expert come in and talk about that, and that's obviously a land and environmentally focused organization. And the general consensus is if you're going to control invasives, then almost always chemical control is the only way that really is terribly effective. You know, trying to cut it back or other means is not very effective.
It comes back more vociferously.
Yeah.
We discovered that on the fence on the pasture, right, Rick?
So I, just from my own perspective, you know, just the way it is being done, it is done in a very controlled manner, the way we're doing it. And just a particular product is relatively low, or very low on the toxicity side anyway to other things. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
Yeah, I guess you would probably be the one putting it all.
Well, you're going to need some help. This is a big project.
Well, when you're putting it in, like you
Yeah, I mean, if you're
well,
gonna do mechanical removal as well, then yeah, that becomes a big project. If you're just doing basal spraying, it's like a morning running around.
Seriously? For the amount of invasive we have around that field?
Well, I mean,
And not just that.
depends on what exactly what your scope is. But
Is there a health
Yeah,
risk
and-
to the person applying it if they're applying it for the next 20 years?
Not dramatically.
One of the principles of integrated pest management is you don't try to do everything all at once. You know, you go in, you apply the stuff very selectively and kill what you can. You're going to miss some stuff, some new stuff's going to come, and you get that in another year. It shouldn't be seen as something where we do something once and we're all done and we've done it all, because you can do that, but that's much more of an environmental impact than
Mhm.
doing a very targeted, selective treatment.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds
You
like.
just looking for a consensus, do you want a vote from the committee on this, Mark?
Todd?
I'm just concerned that it's a losing battle.
Nature.
There are tens of thousands of seeds sitting in the soil,
Yeah.
waiting to take the place of the plants. So
Oh, gee, he's right. But if we keep on letting it go, it's only going to get worse, right?
Yeah, if you
I
do
mean, like a
nothing,
long,
if you do nothing, Bob can attest to how big this stuff can get.
yeah,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're being good stewards, we sort of have to step up, it sounds like. I mean, I hear what you're saying though, so.
But it sounds like something
Well,
we have to do every year for quite a while.
mhm.
Well, let's take a couple areas here, like at Gates Hill, if that gets pushed back, then it's going to get into an area which now can be mowed as part of the hay program, right? If that one.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah,
then-
if you get it controlled and get it into the regularly mowed section, then you're all set.
And then that will maintain
Yeah,
the control of it.
yeah.
Same thing out in the field that the town owns across from Mount Jeff there. I mean, that could be an expansion of the hay area that gets cut there, right? There's a big amount of stuff out in that central island out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Theoretically, under the hay contract, it's supposed to be cut every year anyway. Just not for hay, but just for cutting.
Yeah, to maintain it as an old field.
Yeah.
And then just over at Malone, we're gonna, we get over there and brush hog it. Like, if it get cleared, just like we're doing at Malone, if it get cleared, cut with a mower every year, would that be sufficient to maintain control of it? I mean, my guess would be probably, because everything's
After
gonna be
you've done
really
this.
minimal.
Yeah.
Especially
once you knock
if you cut it
it back a
every
little
year,
bit.
it's not gonna get out of
If
control.
you cut it every year, then you're all set. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how much?
So it doesn't have to be cut once a month or stuff like that. If you cut it once a year, it's gonna keep it under control.
I mean, you said that the alder, except for the fringes there,
Yes.
they'd already done.
Right.
It didn't, none of it's reappeared, or some of it has, or?
None of it in the core section that I cut and treated.
That's
The
pretty
stuff I
effective.
shredded did.
Yeah, this stuff got mangled. Came back.
It came back crippled.
Yeah, that's, well, because when I brush hogged it, I mean,
Yeah.
it went wild after that the following year, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just no way to control, that's actually a way to help it. All those seeds came up.
Unless you do it every year?
I just did it the one time.
Yeah, but
Before
if you
that,
But we
Tom
should
Bracco
Oh, yeah,
did
but
it.
the way to do it would be to get it under control initially.
And then
keep
annually.
mowing it.
Mm-hmm.
And have that be, yeah. What is the farmer saying? 1 year of seed, 7 years of weed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Heard that from
And,
two farming sources.
So Rick, let's continue this and I mean let's bring it to a resolution here, and then talk about mowing at Malone this year. See if you guys are willing, but let's close this topic first.
It seems like consensus that it's the
Yeah.
thing to do as good stewards. Maintaining that we have more of a long-term, annual maintenance to keep it once we get it to a good place. Is that kind of what we're all saying we want? Even with the seeds, we've got to start sometime, right? You sound like you're talking from your personal experience.
No,
Okay,
no, not
just
really.
observing.
Um,
Because otherwise, what's the other option? It'll just keep on getting worse and worse. Or not worse, but just more and more, which is worse. What are you thinking?
I'm just concerned that we don't necessarily have the personnel to be able to do this effectively. But maybe I'm underestimating this committee.
You don't have the personnel to do what?
To do the management successfully in the areas that we're talking about.
Well, it could be if like some of the areas, like Gates Hill gets implemented once it gets cleared, if it gets part of the hay management plan, so the guy that cuts the hay continues to mow that area, then you're bringing in an outside person to help with that maintenance in that area. Same thing in that central area across from Mount Jeff, that can become part of the hay management plan. And then what we do over at Malone, where our plan is to go over there once a year anyway and cut that, which we've been doing.
Let's see what we can do.
Anyway, so what, do you want to bring this to a vote today, or what was your?
Yeah, up to you, whether you want to actually vote it or just accept a table consensus. I guess we probably will have to do a vote on the purchase.
Of the material,
Yeah.
the comments, you want to take a vote on it? Or I mean, we've heard somewhat of a consensus. Todd's got some hesitation about it, but do you want to take a vote, or do you want to just go with the apparent consensus? I'll phrase it this way, if we do an apparent consensus, I'll make a motion that we go forward with it. So.
I think, given that you want to, I assume, start on it this fall.
Yeah.
Means you got to spend the money, so we might as well vote on it.
Yeah, how much money are you asking for?
Otherwise, another month goes by. And
About 300?
I think 300.
Yeah.
So then we just make a vote for
Yeah.
300 to purchase.
and that's in effect
All right, can,
agreeing with the.
instead of his
plan.
chair making that motion, does somebody want to make a motion to proceed with the invasive control? And then to allot up to how much money?
300.
Up to $300 towards the material required to do that. Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize expenditure of $300 for materials to control the invasives
And to proceed with the project.
and to proceed with
And at what locations? Just so we can.
Malone Conservation.
Is it just Malone, or do you want to attack Mount Jeff too?
I can make a start. The small one
Just Malone?
at Mount Jeff. No,
Oh, so it would be
take
at
an
Malone.
initial crack.
It would be at Malone and Mount Jeff this year.
Yeah,
On the east side of Mount Jeff.
east side.
Yeah.
Mount Jeff.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, add that to the motion.
Yeah. You all set on
I'll
that?
second.
That? You get a second here? All those in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Very good. Thank you.
Okay. So just to move on to mowing at Malone this
Okay.
fall.
Yep.
Like mid-October,
Yeah, we can do that whenever you suggest.
because what I'll do is
I'll just drop stuff off and provide it with an extra can of diesel.
I'll get my tractor over there. I can be two of us for a moment.
Yeah.
so you don't need to. I mean, I'll plan in general. At the end of September, I'll do a Basal spray on the woody stem stuff, the poplar, the birch, the scattered clumps of alder.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 days before you're going to go out there and brush hog it.
All right.
So that'll get
Yeah.
that'll
I'll
all
use-
get absorbed into the plant. And,
Yeah. So we
It
have
works
another.
that quick. Wow.
well, I mean, you won't you won't see much difference in the plant at the time you mow it, but it won't come up again next
Yeah,
spring.
because it's already been absorbed down into the root.
Right, interesting, okay.
All right. Excellent. Other new business? No?
Motion to adjourn.
What's that?
Motion to adjourn.
Where's Susan?
9:28.
We have to vote on it.
September, what was it, September 28th?
Yes,
And then we have that's our next meeting. And
if we're sticking with Wednesdays, which it seems like we're
then
doing. So.
Yeah.
we have a motion to adjourn on the table. So here a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Another great meeting, folks. This was a
Yeah.
great.
And bravo again to you guys on those signs. And
Yeah.
Steph was there for a while, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And Todd helped to drop them off.